You are listening to Lone Star Community Radio on 104.5 KCZW LP Conroe and 106.1 KZCC LP Conroe, and worldwide on irlonestar.com.
Hey, this is Dick from Lone Star Community Radio. We have a big announcement for Lone Star Community Radio and our listeners. We have partnered with another TV station. That's right, you will be seeing Lone Star Community Radio content on KVQT, Channel 12 in the Houston area. Now is a great time to start a show or sponsor a show with Lone Star Community Radio. For more information on everything that is happening, visit us online at irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776 and leave a message. And we want to also wish everyone a safe and happy Thanksgiving.
Alrighty, good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad you're able to be with us today, the Agricultural Toolbox. And thought we'd talk about a variety of things today. Had some ideas on some kind of wrap up after Harvey, but we're still in the middle of those motions, so we'd like to hit on some other things instead. But some of the things we've got going on, the Beef Improvement Association, we're kind of finishing up their annual renewal of their membership. And that Beef Improvement Association, I'm not sure how many of you are aware of that organization. It's formed over 20 years ago. It actually came out of one of my agriculture committees, and their function is kind of multi-faced. But the biggest thing is going to be the educational programs that they put on. They're focusing on making sure that we're profitable and producers are able to produce a commodity that's ready to go to market, that is going to be safe and reliable and productive. So whether it be something that's going to go into the food chain or a reproductive unit out there for someone else to build a herd on, that's their goal. But we didn't right away, but educational programs, and we had a program last night, in fact, talk about site injections and making sure that when we use products, there might be vaccinations or antibiotics or whatever the case might need to produce a safe quality product, that we're administering those products in a safe fashion according to the label and using those products only when labeled and needed for those uses. So again, it's a very educational program. We do a lot of programs on pasture management, as far as facility to design, a variety of things. And one of the neat things that comes out of it that we've done over a period of years is produced actually a directory. And that directory's got the members in it, locations, the type of cattle that they produce, the email addresses so you can talk with them. And then also we've got a list of advertisers in there, industry-related type of businesses. So this directory has turned into an excellent marketing tool. And we produce that in the fall each year, this time of year, right around Christmas, kind of get wrapped up on the renewals of our members, updates on phone numbers and email addresses, so that we publish this. And then this is a tool that we actually make available online, or we print hard copies and send that out to people. And whether it be 4-H and FFA contestants after the fair, they've got calf scrambles, they've caught during calf scramble at the fair, and are looking for animals, or it might be if they're a replacement heifer division. These books make an excellent tool to provide those young people with a source of finding producers and the quality of products that they produce. But again, we use it also for marketing outside. Got a lot of folks that we've talked about in the past that bought a piece of property, interested in buying animals and putting them on that property and beginning herd production activities. And again, this is a lot safer way to go. I mean, the sale barn is a venue that allows you to purchase animals. And again, as long as you're comfortable with being able to identify animals and potential and ability to grow and be a reproductive unit, that works great. Otherwise, this directory has been an excellent tool in providing an opportunity for a person to call one of our ranchers, go actually sit, visit with them, look at their animals, and get some insight. I mean, they're all educators. We work together, and these guys are able to share information, let you look at their pens, look at their pastures, things that they're doing there to improve their property, and they're always willing to share those opportunities with new people. So again, it's a neat opportunity. Only $35 a year to be a member of this organization, and we do have some things like there's a squeeze chute, set of scales that are available for members to utilize. So again, if a person's getting an operation set up, maybe got a set of pens, don't have a squeeze chute purchased yet, we've got one at the office that they can, being a member of this organization, they're able to check that out and utilize that unit at their house. So some of the neat things that go on. So if you want to If you look at it either being an advertiser or if you've got a herd and you want to increase your marketing skills, marketing exposure, the Montgomery County Beef Improvement Association is a real opportunity. And at our annual meeting back in September, we actually changed things up. It used to be Montgomery and adjacent counties, but we had an interest from producers outside that area that wanted to become a member of this organization. So we actually made it, took that portion out. So as long as they're a beef cattle producer, they are eligible to become a member of this organization. So you might be outside the adjacent counties of, Walker, San Jacinto, Liberty, Waller, Harris counties, and Brazos counties. So farther on out there, you're more than eligible to fill out an application form. And if you don't find one online, you can sure call our office and we'll email that to you. So again, for $35, there's a lot of exposure, marketing, and the educational opportunities that we produce during the year. And that board of directors gives leadership to the educational programs that we put out there. One of the opportunities that's coming along right now is going to be due on December the 4th is soil testing. Back in October, we actually looked at a forage testing campaign, and this is funded by the Montgomery County Soil and Water Conservation Board. And the same thing with the soil testing campaign we have going on right now. Now is a good time to be pulling soil tests, looking at soil fertility situations at this point in time. And I've had the opportunity the last few days to be on some places, look at some operations, and maybe the grasses are not responding quite as well as you anticipate or should have. So again, this one soil testing tool is a diagnostic tool. It really helps us look at what's going on out there in the pasture. And if we're not seeing the productivity that we would anticipate, many times we are short in one particular nutrient. And I was in a place the other day, and the potassium levels were way, way, way low. And again, that would be very indicative of low producing because potassium is necessary for root establishment, drought tolerance, and flowering ability of plants. So again, as soon as we get that potassium level built up, we're going to see a tremendous change. Soil pHs also is another one. We've got a lot of soils in Montgomery County that are very low pH, and with that going on, it actually, when it gets down in the low fives, that pH is low enough, it actually causes nutrients to bind up. They're no longer soluble, which means they're not available to the plant for utilization. So again, you may have plenty of nutrients out there, but if your pH is in the low fives or upper fours, it's like there's nothing there. So again, looking at those things, that soil test is a good diagnostic tool. You can download that form off of the website. You can go to soiltesting.tamu.edu and download that form, and then just use a Ziploc sandwich bag, and then collect that sample according to the instructions on the back of the form, which is going to indicate from the surface to 6 inches deep. We're going to actually want a soil profile of that root zone. And again, we'll repeat that. If I've got a 10-acre patch out there, I'm going to go get 6 or 8 samples across and around that pasture, just drift around out there, then mix those 6 or 8 samples together, and then take one good representative sample. So about 1.5 cups of soil would be necessary for getting an adequate sample gone. So again, 6 or 8 samples out there, mix it all together, and then we would submit that to the lab, or to our office, I should say. Soil testing campaign, we need those samples brought to our office by December 4. And then I'll run them over to the soil testing lab at College Station after that, and then those results will be given back to you in a timely fashion, so we can actually get some modifications done now. And again, if we've got clovers, we can look at our phosphorus and potassium levels. At the same time, if we're trying to get ready for next spring's hay fields, if we're low on pH, then we can get some lime out there now while the soils are dry, and get that lime distributed out there, let it go ahead and start leaching into the soil so that we can actually buffer those soils and get those soils pHs up there where they need to be for spring growth and maybe see a more productive pasture. So those are the kind of things that are going on that part. I noticed a couple of things last day or two. Stinging nettle is starting to show back up. That's a problem that we've been seeing. Everybody complains about ironweed, but ironweed doesn't have the same ability to grab you when you're out there in the pasture or out there in the fence lines and get into that. It sure causes a burning sensation when you get that on you, but realizing that is starting to show up now, and it will just go ahead and fester. I'm not sure how much winter we're going to have this year. It's been cold and then warms right back up, so it hasn't slowed things up much. But stinging nettle is a weed that's been out there for quite some time, and it has been growing in the areas that's overtaken, just like ironweed. And again, it's one that's easily controlled. The biggest thing is we just have to spray it with a herbicide, because it's not something you're going to be able to dig up or pull up, because it is a perennial, so it's got a pretty good root system down there. But again, a good broad-spectrum broadleaf herbicide, like even 2,4-D, your Grazon Next, Pasture Guard, Chaparral, things like that are all good products. The thing to remember is make sure you use a surfactant, because the stinging nettle's got lots of little fine hairs on that leaf surface. So if you don't use a surfactant, it doesn't break up the surface tension of the water droplets. And then that water droplet will just actually lay up there on top of those hairs, evaporate, and the chemical never makes it to the leaf surface. So that's why we get failure on herbicides on those types of plants. If we don't have a surfactant in there, it never reaches the plant, and then people are upset and they say, well, the herbicide didn't work. Well, it turns out we never got the herbicide into the plant. So again, those are the kind of things. Watch out for that. The stinging nettle is starting to show up right now. Again, the warm weather, dry weather, things like that have been thrown around. A lot of people have not put any winter pasture yet. It's not too late. I mean, you can go all the way till Christmas with ryegrass and still have late spring grazing. We've just missed the opportunity to get started here after Thanksgiving, because normally when we get late September, early October, but this year it's been so hot that it was really a gamble to try to get things in early. And I know in certain areas, we planted some pastures up north and had some oats. Stand was looking real good, and all of a sudden the armyworms are in there and grazed it all off. So you try your best and see what happens, and a lot of times it doesn't turn out the way we really wanted to. But realizing ryegrass and clovers, it's not too late. We've got some more warm weather still around for a while, and also we've got some moisture out there right now. So the showers we've been getting, I think everybody received a quarter to half inch last week, 2 inches before that. So there is some moisture out there that we can get things growing. And again, if nothing else, on the clovers, if we use that as a weed barrier, there are a lot of things starting to show up. We mentioned the stinging nettle, but you end up with a lot of chickweed, lamb's quarters, those types of weeds through the winter that are going to be coming up, cool season annuals. And a good stand of clovers is going to be a good weed barrier. And at the same time, it's going to be a legume, so it's fixing nitrogen, which will help us with our perennial grasses next summer. So again, a lot of people don't like that. They're afraid of the clovers, but realizing it is a very beneficial tool, and it is something that can be grazed. If you've got standing forages out there, the clovers can be grazed along with standing frosted grass, not a problem, or ryegrass. But legumes are an excellent tool that we really just don't want to overlook. Again, just kind of look at those. We're not too late. A lot of people figure we get this late in the year and it's past that window. But ryegrass, it's one that we can go all the way till Christmas time without any trouble. Again, that we'll just get a lot of April, May, and early June grazing, and then we'll have to shut her down and get it out of the way for our Bermuda grasses to get started after that. So again, that kind of gives us a rough idea on those things that we wanted to talk about. Again, we're still wrapping up. I know I mentioned earlier on Harvey. We're still doing a lot of the governor's task force has us busy communicating with the municipalities and our elected officials. But at the same time, we're visiting with a lot of individuals. There is some assistance out there from the different agencies. But one thing we need to look at also is going to be, the animals. We're still trying to find some animals that were displaced. And again, the permanent ID, branding, freeze branding, fire branding, I don't care what it is or care what it is. Ear notches in cattle, we're not going to ear out your horses. But again, those kinds of permanent identifications that we can look at animals. The plastic ear tags that everybody likes to utilize, realizing that we get into a situation there with heavy brush. Those ear tags are going to come out. So the fire branding, freeze branding, or chipping are methods that we can utilize to find animals. And again, when you've got a lost horse or something like that, it gets to be a part of the family that we really need to focus on. So again, some of the branding techniques that are out there, they're not real tough on the animals, but again, it's a permanent identification. If we've got an animal that's freeze branded, we can see him standing out there in a pasture. But the biggest thing is a lot of time animals are found and really don't have any, if there's no brand identification on those animals at all, it's extremely hard to get them back to where they came from, especially after an event like Harvey where animals were displaced for several miles. It's one thing, like we had a heifer down there in the southeast part of the county last week, got loose, and again, she showed right up in a neighboring herd of cattle. So adjacent neighbors is not a big issue, but when you've got an event like Harvey where animals were displaced for several miles, or they were picked up by a Good Samaritan and hauled to someplace else, and they may have been moved 100 miles to another safety and secure location, then we have the task of trying to find where that animal goes. So again, branding, then make sure that those brands are recorded in the county clerk's office, gives an opportunity to try to find those animals, get them back to their owners when the time comes. Let's go ahead and take a break right now. We'll come back, and I've got a couple of programs coming up we want to talk about, and those opportunities that are coming up here in the near future. We'll be right back.
Remember to download the Lone Star Community Radio app from your Google Play Apple Store. Bring Montgomery County's community radio with you anywhere with your smartphone or tablet. If you are in the Conroe area, tune in on FM 104.5, 106.1. If you are on your computer, bookmark irlonestar.com as your internet radio station. Lone Star Community Radio, broadcasting 24/7 from the heart of downtown Conroe, Texas.
Hey guys, I'm Joey Savage.
Corey DLG.
We are Nerd Thug Radio. Catch us every Monday from 1 to 3 and check out our website, nerdthugradio.com.
We like to talk about quilting, horseback riding, and baking quiche.
Actually, we don't, but we do like talking nerdy to you.
That's right. Every Monday from 1 to 3 p.m., hashtag talking nerdy to you.
All righty. Glad to be back with you again. Again, we were talking about some activities coming up in the near future, and I mentioned about the soil testing campaign. Those samples need to be in on December the 4th. Turns out the day after that, they've got a very detailed, in-depth program going on over in College Station at the Brazos Center there on Briarcrest. But the 29th Annual Texas Plant Protection Conference is going to be held over there. It's a 2-day deal, the 5th and 6th. And it's a conference that has been available for a long, long time. And it benefits a tremendous cross-section of individuals as far as producers, business sector, and even their scholarship program they've got available. They actually help out students going to college there. They've got some work that might be going on in that particular herbicide area, pesticide use, land management, best management practices. They can apply for some of these scholarships, and there is some funding that comes out of this conference. But the conference is very unique in the fact that it does cross several boundaries there as far as different entities, and it offers a variety of credit. So everybody that's needing CEU credit for their Texas Department of Agriculture license, they can get about 9 hours of credit during those 2 days. So there's a variety of programs that don't count, but yet and there's a lot of vendors there and just a cross section of things going on. But again, it's a lot of different folks that are involved with the program, and they're looking at trade, ag economy, or the U.S. economy that we're looking at, and some of the speakers there. And Mr. Fisher, your Deputy Staff Director and Chief Economist for the U.S. House of Representatives Ag Committee, will be there talking about U.S. ag economics and the Farm Bill, pesticide regulations that are going on. This is being provided by Mr. Greenwood, Executive Vice President of Government Relations and Public Relations for CropLife America. There's Ag Credit Update. There's going to be an update on new cotton technology that's going on. And again, these are not only A&M professors speaking. There's going to be a cross-section of folks. A lot of new technologies going on as far as field sensors, things like that. And they're going to be talking quite a bit about that. There's going to be a lot of economics. There's going to crop mix economics, U.S. Commercial diplomacy, the water regulations issues. That's going to be talked about. Foliar feeding, cotton, and some of the other crops there. A big section on pest ID, and there's actual contest that Baron Rector offers each year. And that particular one is there's a plant ID, and then there's also a pest ID that's available. And it's a contest, and there's some nice prizes that are awarded for being the person that does the best on those little contests. So it's a little friendly competition there. Those samples are laid out there, and you fill out your own form. They grade them and see who gets the most right. But it's about 40 samples that are participating in that contest. Again, new technology, chemistry. There's going to be Syngenta Crop Sciences will be overseeing that. There are more options and protection inside and outside the Monsanto bag. So you can see that it's going to be a cross-section of vendors out there. Weed control systems, and again, there's a lot of neat research that's going on out there. We talk about pesticides and applications. When you look at some of the labels now, they're actually recommending a particular spray tip design for that particular product now, which gives us the best application and ways to put those product out on the host site or pest site to make sure that we're going to get the control that's going to be desired. So again, those kind of things are going on. Bayer, then fungicides and herbicides that make a difference in Texas agriculture. FMC will be there making that presentation. BASF is new products and label updates. Again, Syngenta Crop Protection is going to be there talking about a variety of things. But again, the general sessions are there, and then there's a lot of concurrent sessions that are going on. review of the bollworm situation in BT cotton and management decisions, cotton economics, and then remote sensing platforms. So quite a bit on the cotton industry, but then there's going to be quite a bit on rangeland also. Control of IVM, rangeland and pasture vegetation. Helena Crop Sciences will be helping out with that demonstration. Update on agri-intelligence from Helena. Control of industrial vegetation from Bayer Products. Control of range and pasture vegetation. That's going to be another one by Bayer Products. Cow-calf production costs by David Anderson. He's one of our specialists over there. Will be giving that presentation. And again, other concurrent sessions on grain management. Those kind of products are out, or talks will be going on. There's going to be some wilt situations, farming for Texas, craft brewing and distilling. Again, that's another industry that's growing in popularity. Some still on rice. So regardless of what your focus is in your agricultural endeavors, there's going to be some interest there. Again, on the horticulture turf side also, the earth kind area there is growing in popularity, and Tim Hartman will be talking about some plant varieties for that, the effects of soil pH and other limitations on adaptation of the kiwi fruit in Texas. Again, a lot of people are trying some of the things that are not native to this area. And again, looking at our soil fertility needs, we just talked about soil testing. And again, our soils, many times they're very deficient. So we can grow a lot of things if weather will permit, as long as we get our soil fertility and soil textures right. But when you've got a county like Montgomery County that's got over 50 different soil types, finding a site that's suitable may be all right as long as the weather cooperates. It gives us that opportunity. Developing new vegetable cultivars from the Texas vegetable industry. There's a lot of research going on there, some new adaptations. Grapevine disease management in Texas. The grapes has been an area that's exploded. Lots and lots of interest. Just a few plants in the backyard to actually having vineyards established everywhere. New developments in the crepe myrtle bar scale management. We do have some pests that are growing out there in their populations, and their effect on our landscapes, and those kind of things are being utilized. Again, we've had several programs here in Montgomery County this last year talking about drones, but new developments in using drones for precision agriculture. They provide a lot of opportunity there, and again, their cost effectiveness is growing tremendously. You've got a unit there that you can buy for a few $100s that, with the right software, can provide a tremendous amount of management information. The precision agriculture efforts that are going on at the Stiles Farm, that's a educational facility. It's part of the A&M system, but they do a lot of crops and pasture work over there. They have a field day each spring over there, and again, it's another opportunity there to see a lot of things going on, but they've got a lot of ongoing research, and they're constantly monitoring what's going on. Phenotyping BMPs and irrigation management from remote sensing. So the electronics and digital things are going on. Digital farming. Danny Sosby from Netafilm USA is going to be making a presentation there. Potential for variable rate nutrient management in Central Texas. Again, that's going to be variable crops. So looking at our fine-tuning our soil fertility program is going to be critical. Again, with our environment and not overdoing nutrients, it's critical that we have a handle on what's going on. So we apply only what's necessary to produce the crop that we want and not have excess that might be leaching downward or leaching off-site because of if it's not binding up with plant materials and being held in place. We sure don't want to lose it just because of the cost effectiveness or the potential for pollution in the environment. So those kind of considerations. Plant nutrition, again, there's a unit there. Plant micronutrient needs. Larry Unruh with American Plant Foods. Larry used to be with Texas A&M, and he was over there managing American Plant Foods. But again, there are a number of micronutrients that we don't think about. And even some of our clovers, we're seeing boron deficiency and a trace amount of boron or copper. Again, it's another one that will make a big difference in the production of a field. So there's a lot of things we're looking at. And again, state of the fertilizer industry, there's some concerns out there, what's available to us. But that's the kind of things we're going to be looking at. So good variety of programming going on, the 5th and 6th over at the Brazos Center in College Station. We did pass the early registration date. Those were supposed to be before November 11. At that time, it was $85. After the 11th, it's going to be $100. But again, that's 2 full days of educational opportunities. And again, you can pick up a number of CEUs from that program there and get your license updated. And again, there are some other educational professional development units that are available there also. A couple other programs we've got coming up in the county there that could be of benefit. In particular, one we've got coming up on December 8 and 9. That's going to be our large animal emergency rescue class. This is a program we were trying to put together back in April and just really did not get all our certifications in place. And then after Harvey, we've got even more of an emphasis and a need shown for this type of a class. But this is going to be a 2-day class held at our office at the Montgomery County Extension office on Airport Road. And Dr. Rebecca Gimenez is going to be the technician that'll be teaching that. She's from the southeast part of the United States, and she's nationally recognized for her teaching abilities and the classes that she offers and the quality of the training that a person receives. And this is one of those that we're able to give a variety of credit. And again, so DVM, your TCLOS, Department of State Health Services, Fire Service, ACO, LTV, those are all certifications that we will be able to give hours of credit on. And again, excellent opportunity. But during this class, we're going to look at incident prevention, emergency scene management, large animal restraint, the basics of water, mud, water, ice rescues. Not too much ice going on, but we've had plenty of mud and water. Confined rescue space, incident management, livestock trailer incidents. Then we've got barn fires, and again, dealing with animals and smoke. If you've never experienced that, animals don't respond the way you would think they would. So wildfires, barn fires, and we've always talked about that, a potential problem out there. How do we manage around those? We'll be addressing those. And integration of veterinarians into the emergency response. So, and again, that's a unique thing about the Montgomery County Animal Issues Committee. That's a group that's charged with working through some of these incidents, and we do have a number of veterinarians that serve on that committee. And I think it's something there that has proved very beneficial, particularly during Harvey. But this training, and again, it's open to anybody, whether you be a first responder or an individual that's interested in helping out. You can register for going onto our website, Montgomery County website. It is a cost of $100, which includes lunch both days and educational materials and all the things that go along with that class. But she's got an excellent book, resource books that will actually be a part of that class. But again, the basic concepts of large animal rescue will be critical medical concerns to be addressed during large animal incidents. Again, a lot of times we may be looking at animal, whether it be hypothermia, it might be a damaged limb, things like that are going on. There's certain ways that we can work through those things and keep everybody safe. And again, the responder or that person applying or providing the aid, that's the kind of things we need to be looking at, making sure that they understand those needs. In-depth on safety considerations for the large animal rescue incidents, the incident command system. And again, that's what we see on all these situations. If you'll notice, when you walk into a situation, we have a person who is in charge of it. We follow their lead. They understand what needs to be done. There's a systematic approach so we don't get people hurt. It's real easy to kind of get emotional and jump off and start doing things. So there is a method to the madness as far as the way we approach a situation there, getting certain things in place, making sure those resources are in place so that we can go ahead and move forward with those kinds of things. So again, confined space considerations, transportation incident response considerations, the livestock overturns. Again, that we have seen that time and time again, and riding those trailers with animals in them, with animals trying to get them out of a down trailer. Trailer that's been destroyed. We had a situation not too long ago where a trailer was run into the back of, and they were able to get some of the animals out. Some of them had to be euthanized because of the damage that occurred to them. Again, the fire response, but field, just there's lots of things that go on, but we will be utilizing a variety of resources for that program. Some live animal, a lot of it will be in class. This time of year, with December, we had tried to get in April, and that didn't fall together. So again, we'll be kind of looking at the weather as well as the classroom situation. So this would be an excellent opportunity for folks to be able to get, over 2 days, over 9 hours of professional development opportunities, and there will be some lab type situations there. We'll be handling animals, equipment handling, tying knots, just a variety of things, because there are pieces of things that we can utilize. Old fire hoses make excellent slings, and that's a way to safely pick up an animal, move an animal without causing injury. Again, anytime we broaden the space that we're going to make contact or pull, we lessen the chance of causing an injury. So a lot of times an old fire hose is much better than a lariat rope on trying to get something done. So again, those kind of things, we can go to the Montgomery County Extension Office or website to enter up, or you can just go ahead and we can email you a copy of a registration form we've drawn up, ask for name, address, and again, it's a $100 registration fee. And you can send that to our address send it to our office at 9020 Airport Road. And again, you can go to the MontgomeryAgriLife.org website. And I think April has actually set up a PayPal account. So if that's an easier way for you to register for this class, you can sure do it that way. The registration form is also found at that site or that location. All right, let's just take a break. We'll come back with a few more pieces of information shortly.
Attention movie lovers, The Ticket Stub is a new radio show servicing Montgomery County that is meant for you. The Ticket Stub is available live every Thursday at noon on FM 104.5 and 106.1, as well as anytime on OurLoneStar.com. Connor and Dick will let you know what's coming out in the theater, what is worth streaming, and what's going on in the world of film. The Ticket Stub, your home for movie talk.
Our talk shows and music shows are looking for sponsors. Want to expand your brand awareness? Reach the hyper-local audience in Montgomery County? Lone Star Community Radio sponsorships accomplish this. Want to see our stats and rates? Check out irlonestar.com/sponsor for more information. Or call in and leave us a message at 936-647-3776 with your question. Get seen on TV or YouTube and heard on our podcast, FM, and internet radio. Sponsor your local radio station with Lone Star Community Radio.
All righty, welcome back to the Agricultural Toolbox. One more program I wanted to mention right off the bat before we went in and talk a little bit about deer hunting. But we have got our second annual Southeast Texas recertification, or Southeast Texas Town and Country CEU recertification educational program. You know, we talk a lot about pesticides and management of our resources, and this is one that we started last year. And again, a lot of folks are looking for a few more hours on their Texas private applicator license or commercial, non-commercial license. And we also do get structural pest control service certification on this program. But this program here, again, it's another, it's not only for those folks who got a license, I should clarify that, but this particular program, we call it Town and Country, so it's going to be a cross-section of interests of programs we're going to offer. But this is going to be December 14. It's a Thursday at the Extension Office and Montgomery County Extension Office. But it's a unique situation we started last year. Again, we get lots of resources together, and I'll talk about that in just a moment as far as, you know, getting speakers to come out and talk. But this is kind of a unique deal. We actually go ahead and web broadcast this particular program. It's being actually presented at our extension office in Montgomery County, but at the same time, we're going to be putting it out live to the Waller County Extension Office, the Dayton Community Center, the Brazoria County Extension Office, the Brazos County Extension Office, the Fort Bend County Fairgrounds is going to have a site located, and the Galveston County Extension Office will also be receiving this program. So again, this one is going to be out there, and if you got folks in other counties, other areas that are needing some hours of credit or just want to hear these program ideas or topics, you can let them know, and you can get a hold of their offices. And again, they're going to be setting up. This particular program will begin at 8:30 on the 14th, which is a Thursday. And first presentation is going to be landscape tree management. And Dr. Lanny Dreesen, he's a retired forester. He lives right here in Montgomery County. He worked with the Texas AgriLife Extension back when it was a different name, but he was a forester at that time. But he does a tremendous job on the landscape tree management. And again, what we've looked at as far as drought, excessive moisture, wind, things like that, a lot of our landscape has been stressed. So Dr. Dreesen will share some ideas with us as far as managing that. Ants that impacting our lives. We're going to be another presentation there. Dr. Robert Puckett, he's extension entomologist. Again, we've talked a lot about fire ants, but the crazy ants, leafcutter ants, and then again, we even see a lot of pavement ants, pharaoh ants. There are a number of varieties of ants that are in this area there, and they've all got a little bit different approach. They've got a little different habitat they're looking for, so the way we method to control these guys may vary a little bit. The products that we utilize, and that's what Robert's going to address there. Aquatic weed management control is going to be another presentation that day. Dr. Todd Sink will be over visiting with us, and again, Lots of folks who got farm ponds, and we've even got a lot of the subdivisions have got a community lake, and we visit with a lot of those. And again, herbicide actions and things like that, keeping that water quality and water usage up. Everybody likes to enjoy a nice lake, and they don't want a lot of weeds covering it up. And if everybody wants to fish, we don't want to be dragging back weed plants every time we cast out there. So again, aquatic weed management has become a very important area for lots of landowners and subdivision owners. So those techniques that Dr. Sink will share with us. We're going to do a little bit on herbicides, our laws and regs update. Dr. Renchie was going to be with us, so we just visited yesterday, and he's not going to be able to be with us. But Mr. Brad Tullis with Texas Department of Agriculture will be there doing our laws and regs section, and he's got some. He's going to share with us some situations there as far as looking at complaints, damage, and reporting those types of things. So he's going to be sharing a lot of things that have been shared in the past as probably complaints, problems, and how to address those, and the mechanics of having an investigation inspector come out and look at different sites and help rectify situations. So a little bit different approach on the laws and regs, and that would be an excellent presentation. To finish the day up with our fifth hour is going to be pesticide labels and calibration. Dr. Matt Matoka will be over helping us with that portion of the program. Again, as I mentioned earlier, some of the products actually recommend a certain tip, spray tip be utilized. And again, looking at boom sprayers, boomless type sprayers. There's lots of equipment that's available for us to utilize, and the way we get it out there will dictate our success. So again, really good cross-section of materials or programs we'll be talking about that day. But again, December 14, be leading at the Montgomery County Extension Office, but we do have those other sites that will be receiving the program and sharing it, and you will get 5 hours of CEU credit for your TDA license or your structural pest control license. And again, I think it's something everybody can benefit from greatly. One right after the first of the year there, Montgomery County Adult Horse Committee is going to be sponsoring their schooling shows, as we have for many, many years. Those are going to be Tuesday evenings of January 9, 16, and 23rd. And again, this is kind of a fun educational activity. We'll actually have a different judge each night, and he's more there as a facilitator and help us with critiquing. Not so much the placing of classes is not the important part of the evening, but having a judge help you with, if you're wanting to go on show or do things like that, critique techniques, help us improve our skills, and share some ideas on different approaches. So we'll be dealing with showmanship at halter. A lot of the folks are interested in in-hand trail, particularly our colt kiddos that are involved for the fair, in-hand trail, regular trail, walk trot, western pleasure, hunter under saddle, and then horsemanship are the classes we'll be offering each of those 3 nights. And that's going to be at the Lone Star Expo. You don't have to sign up ahead of time. They show up that evening. We get started at 6:30 in the evening, and hopefully the weather will be cooperating. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it's ice, sometimes it's warm. So we'll see. We're kind of off to a warm start right now, and that's kind of we'll wait and see what the weather brings to us. Next thing I wanted to move on to then, again, we talked about a lot of programming, and there's with the deer season moving forward and visiting with guys that are coming back from different sites. I want to remind folks that the Texas Animal Health Commission is involved with our hunting and from the standpoint of our fever tick quarantine regulations. And, we always think about cattle, but the Animal Health Commission wants to remind everybody that if you are actually, and again, a lot of our folks are traveling to leases in other parts of the state, but if you're actually in a situation there, if their inspections and precautions are required if you're handling white-tailed deer, the nilgai, antelope, black buck, axis deer, and some of the other exotics that are in quarantine premises. And again, you've heard them talking about the fever tick and the inspections that are being made, but portions of Cameron, Hidalgo, Jim Wells, Kinney, Clayburgh, Live Oak, Maverick, Star, Webb, Willacy, and Zapata counties are all established fever tick quarantine areas. And then there are also 37 additional quarantine counties that have got individual premise quarantines going on. So if you should actually take an animal, one of these animals we've mentioned before, as far as nilgai or white-tailed deer in one of those counties, that animal has actually got to be inspected by the Animal Health Commission officer before it leaves that area, because they will actually inspect and treat that cape and hide before it goes anywhere, so we don't ever run the risk of any of the ticks leaving that particular area and being moved to other parts of the state. So again, the hunters, you guys play a particularly large role in this, from making sure that we're protecting the state from fever tick expansion. Their executive director is actually making these comments, and he's asking for their help during the hunting season to ensure this tick is not inadvertently transported to uninfected areas of the state when harvesting deer or exotics, and again, moving from those quarantine premises. So again, making sure the the inspection and treatment process is fairly quick, according to Dr. Lansford. He's another assistant director. Hunters must notify their Animal Health Commission regional office or a USVA representative after harvesting an animal and before movement, so the hides can be inspected and treated. And again, its inspections are going to include the hides, capes. Animals will be issued a movement permit then after treatment, and the movement permit must accompany that animal or parts of the animal at all times after you leave that site. So again, it's something that they're very serious about, and we need to make sure that we're looking at those things very, very closely. One other thing I want to mention, and Dr. Tiffany Dowell-Leschmidt, she's actually an attorney for Extension, works with a lot of our landowners, and she had shared some information here recently. And again, we're talking about hunting and moving forward, and we kind of sometimes take a little bit of a laid-back approach to things, but she has got some ideas that she really wants to make sure people are aware of. She is not saying she's an attorney for everybody, but she wants to share some ideas. But one piece of advice is that everyone who's going to hunt, including your guests, needs to sign a waiver and sign a lease when coming on your property. Again, it may be a friend, a guest, whatever, business associate, whatever the case might be on your particular land, but there are some waiver forms, things like that need to be signed just to protect you. She says, no, we don't always do this, and we need to think about having everybody who is going to be there sign a waiver and a lease. And again, if this is not possible, and again, there should be terms in that lease that states that the leasee is responsible for anyone who brings with them. And again, if it's, you've leased out those properties there and someone else is managing it for you, that the responsibility is laid out there and it's very clear about who's responsible. And again, it says, if I'm the landowner, I want to make sure that I know make sure I know who is on the property, and I want to make sure that they sign these waivers. And again, with situations, great friends, but situations occur, and all of a sudden situations will kind of change up. And again, we get a situation there where you maybe have people on the property and you're going to sign it later on. You just hope that nothing happens in the meantime before something actually does happen. But again, Dr. Leschmidt actually generally refers to 3 different documents for the hunters. And again, it's a signed lease, a signed liability waiver, and then a signed agreement containing language from the Texas Agritourism Act. And again, the latter is a statute that protects landowners in the event of injury to a hunter, so long as a written agreement is signed and the requirement signage is posted. So in other words, we're going to post our perimeter, but again, there are some things we need to be looking at. And everything needs to be listed in the lease, including the names of the parties, the price, the duration of the lease. It may be only $1, maybe nothing, but those kind of things need to be stated. Limitations on hunting methods, use of standards and when they can be delivered, use of dogs, use of ATVs, use of specific entrances. Again, maybe a situation where you have to come from the backside, not past the main house, things like that on a lot of these ranches. So there are some things that we need to be looking at. So again, this is another thing she really focuses on, and the property should be described in the lease. And it looks like it includes a map also, structures, boundaries, and other important items that were marked, and particularly if things need to be excluded from use or their ability to be utilized in that lease agreement. And again, reminding that might have family members on the property, and if they're not living on that structure, they're on a regular basis, those kind of things need to be there just to protect yourselves, because you really don't know what might happen. Again, security deposits can be demanded for those leasers, and often a good idea. If the leasee leaves trash or tears up things, the landowner has the funds then through deposits to go ahead and make the repairs. And again, seems like this is an ongoing conversation. People inadvertently tearing up things, running over water faucets, the campsites, just things that may not be major, but again, it's an ongoing expense that gets to be a problem. Landowners who lease their property for hunting must obtain a license from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department for their own land. Again, if you are going to receive compensation for the use of your land, this must be registered through the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. And again, a lot of folks don't do this, and again, it's one of those things that needs to be. The license should be displayed on the lease and on the premises. Some landowners post the lease in the bunkhouse or on a fence, the entryway, things like that, so that landowner or the lease persons coming on the property know that this place is registered and it does have the proper maintenance. Separate lease properties may require different. Most times they do require a license for each site. So you may have a landowner may have a number of ranches. He's actually got to have a different license for each of those properties. And again, there is a $500 fine there associated with not buying that license. It's a minimal fee, but it's a matter of, a person says, well, I'm not going to spend that much money. But again, there is a fee associated with it. So the license is only required if the landowner charges for the lease, and it's not required for free hunters. So again, if you're inviting someone to come on, just get your paperwork put together there as far as making sure that those people are covered and you are covered as far as any damage that might occur. Just accidents occur too easy. Seems like the number one situation that we hear about is a person falling out of a stand. Heaven forbid we look at an accidental shooting, things like that. But falling out of stand, some of those innocent types of things, accidentally get a little bit of cold weather and get a little ice on a ladder, then all of a sudden, the danger level goes way, way up. So those are the kinds of things that she is kind of referring to. And again, I know a lot of the times, we take a laid back approach to many of these things, and it's a matter of protecting ourselves. I mean, you got you got a resource there, and you want to make sure that it does not get lost through a legal agreement or a legal dispute, I should say. So again, protecting yourself, make sure that you've got all the bases covered. Again, hunting is a good time. Everybody enjoys it, and there's a lot of gain and a lot of family camaraderie, and those kind of things go on. But at the same time, we need to make sure that resource is protected and it's available for us to utilize in the future. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll move on, come back with a few closing items. Thank you.
A Lone Star Community Radio is looking for those who are interested in hosting their own talk show, with monthly and weekly slots available on Conroe's FM 104.5, 106.1, and on irlonestar.com. Start your own podcast, create your first YouTube channel, and be on TV. Contact Lone Star Community Radio online at irlonestar.com or call the station message line at 936-647-3776 to take your first step into the radio world.
Relax with a cup of joe or your favorite drink for the Conroe Lake Conroe Chamber of Commerce Chamber Chat. The show airs on the first Tuesday of the month at 11 a.m. on Lone Star Community Radio. Join hosts Courtney Galley and Brian Bondi as they chat about the Chamber's events and programs for the month, and invite Chamber members into the studio to talk about their upcoming events and businesses. Learn about your Chamber with Chamber Chat every first Tuesday at 11 a.m.
All right, glad to be back with you guys for the last segment of the Agricultural Toolbox for today. And again, this has been an exciting week. Kind of wrapping things up. Actually, we went yesterday, and I want to make sure everybody was aware of the 4-H pecans are in. We ran yesterday and brought back 14,000 pounds of pecans, and a lot of that was pre-sold to our 4-H clubs in their efforts to visit with residents or neighbors, and through their 4-H clubs get those. A lot of those pecans were all pre-sold. So, but anyway, they were delivering those last night. So anybody that did not make contact with a 4-H member prior to this time, there were still got lots of pecans there at the extension office, available both pieces and halves. And again, I know a lot of folks are going to be wanting to make a pie or something like that, or some cookies next week. So we've got some fresh pecans to show you how fresh they are. I had to wait. We were supposed to have gone on Tuesday of this week, but they were still shelling and bagging on Thursday, or Wednesday. So they got done Wednesday night, and I was there at 8:00 Thursday morning in Powell to pick those pecans up. So you can't get much fresher than that. So they were back in the county by Thursday afternoon, and they can be in your kitchen tomorrow afternoon, or this afternoon. So again, the opportunity is there. But those 4-H pecans, it's a big fundraiser for our local 4-H club. a lot of the management of the county program is done through the fundraiser of the pecan sales. So again, come by the office, pick those up. We mentioned several different programs out there, and we talked about the Plant Protection Conference and our Town and Country recertification program. A lot of these are ongoing, and even the Master Gardener program is going to get started in January. But there's an ongoing amount of education that Montgomery County Extension Office and Texas AgriLife Extension as a whole provides, and realizing that you can reach us through a number of ways. Again, the electronic media, we're expanding in that area. We do have a Facebook account, and the 4-H has got their separate one. My Montgomery County Adult Horse Committee has got their own Facebook account, and a lot of the activities that we do are actually shared through that. Pieces of information are all shared through those Facebook accounts. Our website is there. We post all of our newsletters, program registration, programs agendas, even related information. Montgomery County Fair is going to be coming up in April, and some of the clinics we're doing are going to be open to everybody. I was visiting with an ag teacher earlier today. Our progress shows will be in January, and every Saturday in January there will be a progress show that gives the youth an opportunity to get out there and practice, get their animals out and about and away from the house, and see how good they're coming along with their projects, but also a good opportunity to get out there and practice and make sure their showmanship skills and handling of that animal are going on the way they should be. As we talked about in these programs, we do a lot of problem diagnosis, and again, a lot of that can be done electronically. We receive lots of photographs by email. People will call in and have some ideas there, and we can roughly describe things. And we still do a number of one-on-ones and individual home contacts. Lots of people will bring samples into the office. But again, the problem diagnosis and coming up with a management control scheme, techniques that are utilized, that's the kind of thing that we provide as far as our residents. And again, we want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. A lot of folks, we visit with them for the first time, and they didn't realize that this opportunity was there. So it's hard to make people aware of the extension office and the vast array of opportunities that we provide. I know the segment that you heard right before we came back on, Amy Ressler was talking about our mobile cooking schools. That's a very big group that works very hard. They've got both youth and adult audiences that they're reaching through that program. So again, with our livestock efforts and hay production and forages, some of that is youth, some of that is adult, and we try to help out in all those different areas there. So the individual help, don't be afraid of contacting us, sending pictures, soil tests, whatever the case might be. We're still doing some water testing. We're not sure about the amount of damage on our wells that occurred during Harvey. But again, if you're uncertain about the quality of the water, there is some water testing opportunities out there. Nova Biological's there. But let's look at those, and if you're uncertain about the quality of your water, make sure that we go ahead and get those things tested. So we talked about the soil testing, water testing, the hay testing we did back in October. That looks at the quality of that hay, and we have a better idea of how to feed that. So those are the kind of opportunities that we deal with and help landowners reach the goals that they want to do and have the opportunity so they're happy with the production that they are on their property, or even the 4-H and FFA members that they're reaching their goals and having an animal that they're proud of when it comes time to be exhibited, whether it be a progress show, the county fair, some of the community shows, things like that going on. So that's what the Extension Service does. And again, reach us at our website there, or you can call our office at 936-539-7822. It's been a pleasure being with you today during Agricultural Toolbox. And again, everybody have a fantastic Thanksgiving, and we'll see you in December.
Thanks for checking out this podcast of Lone Star Community Radio, Montgomery County's community radio station. If you enjoyed this recording, make sure to check out our past shows online at irlonestar.com or their respective video or podcast formats on YouTube, Google Play, or iTunes. If you have any questions regarding the show, either it being about sponsorships or questions for the host, contact the station manager at dick@irlonestar.com or call the station at 936-647-3776. This show was recorded in downtown Conroe, Texas at the Lone Star Community Radio Studios, and Lone Star Community Radio reserves all rights to this recording and images.